I'm curious, if the woman who does everything for your kid, including feeding them, housing them, making sure they have everything they need, keeping them happy, safe, and healthy, if she's a terrible mother, what the fuck does that make you? If this woman, who's the sole provider to your kid, is a terrible mother, what does that make you?
Hello, Mom?
Yeah?
I just got a $5,000 donation on my stream.
What?
I just got a $5,000 donation on my live stream. Somebody gave me $5,000. I can get a car now.
That's nice.
I know. Are you proud of me? Are you happy that I didn't go to college?
I know. Yeah, goodbye.
A narcissistic parent or partner will never see you succeed. They'll never let you feel proud of yourself. They'll keep silent on purpose when they know you expect them to say something about you. No matter how big your achievements are, they'll always put them down. They'll be quite monotonous. They'll act like, yes, it's not a big deal. Or people do more than that. People achieve a lot more than that. What is there to be proud of?
The narcissist discards their own child. Yes, it happens. And if you can't get your head around it, that's because you're thinking like a warm-blooded human. In order to understand the narcissist, you need to think more reptilian. The narcissist will discard their own child. So 1 minute you're in, and the next minute you've been vaporized. The narcissist will disown their own child, literally cut them off, cut off your allowance, especially if they know that you depend on that allowance. They'll cut off your lifeline and you have to go and fend for yourself. Now, why does this happen? It happens because you have been appointed the scapegoat. You are the one that will set the example for the rest of the siblings or the rest of the family, because the narcissist needs to maintain their position, and how they do it is by divide and rule and drama and threatening behavior. Now, the why you have been appointed the scapegoat is because you've challenged them. You've called them out on their shitty behavior, or you see right through them. You can detect bullshit from 30 paces. Or maybe the reason why you have to be discarded is because you've caught them. You've caught them in a lie, you've caught them cheating, you've caught them doing something that they shouldn't do, and you have too much power. You know too much, and they have to get rid of you. Now, to be discarded by your own parent, your own flesh and blood, is painful. They discard you because they know that they can't control you and they have to get you out of their environment. But trust me when I say that being discarded by a narcissist, no matter who they are to you, is the best thing that could ever happen to you. You dodged a bullet.
Your mama set you up to fail in your relationships. Let's talk about it. If your mama is a narcissist, you will know for sure, because anytime you bring a man around or mention that you potentially like someone or could, be dating or even getting into a relationship, she's gonna fucking hate on you. She might pretend like she's actually happy for you, but deep down inside, your mother is hoping and praying that that man whoops your ass and cheats on you. See, if your mama is miserable in her own relationships, if she doesn't have a man, or the man that she has ain't about shit, or she's been with nothing but ain't shit ass men all her entire life, why would she want to see her daughter in a successful relationship? Better yet, she'll be even more happy if you get locked down with a baby by a piece of shit man. Now you're a single mother stuck with an abusive man, and your mother's sitting back enjoying the show. Your mother don't want to see you in no healthy relationship because she's never been in one. Your mama is your biggest hater. And you know what's even worse? Don't let your mama connect with your abusive baby daddy. And she actually liked that dude. You know what she gonna do? When you trying to get away from him and you trying to set boundaries so you could co-parent, your mama will go behind your back and she'll be on the phone with your baby daddy. Your mama will sleep with your baby father. Your mama will sleep with your husband. Your mama will sleep with your boyfriend just to cut your throat. That's how much she's competing with you. Your mama is a female narcissist. Any mother that treats her daughter as if she's a side chick competing to take her man, your mama don't like you, honey, and don't take it personal. It has nothing to do with you. Your mother hates herself. And instead of your mama dealing with her issues from her childhood, she rather project and take it out on you. She has made you the scapegoat of her life. So it is your assignment, in her eyes, it is your assignment to take the brunt of her abuse. And when it comes to men, how dare you have a healthy relationship? How dare you have a good man to spoil you and do nice things for you? She don't want to see no man doing nothing nice for you. Nah, your mama's a hater. You're going to have to cut her off if you plan on getting with a healthy man and having a healthy relationship, a healthy marriage, because she will destroy that shit. And she'll try to flirt with your nigga behind your back, and she'll try to fuck him and break y'all shit up. And she'll try to get on his side. And y'all, you know, if you're going through any type of divorce battle or child custody, your mother will help this dude team up and come against you. Your mama is a fucking narcissist. I wrote this book, I Can't Stand My Mother. It's available on Amazon. All you got to do is go to the link in my bio, click on it, and it will take you to Amazon and you can buy this book. Get the fuck away from your hating ass mama.
If your narcissistic parent has put you on the guilt trip of all the sacrifices that they've made in order to keep you alive, which was kind of their legal obligation, which they chose to do, you had no say in any of this. This is your reminder that that is just a guilt trip. I also want to remind you that you've made a lot of sacrifices too. You have had to sacrifice your childhood, your mental health, your emotional health, your ability to feel safe on this planet. And that was more than enough that you have done for your narcissistic parent. And the reality is you literally don't owe your parents anything for bringing you onto this planet. You had no choice. You were just brought into this circus that they imposed onto you. And normal, healthy parents don't actually impose this sort of sense of responsibility onto their kids. They want their kids to grow up to be healthy, functional adults. But for narcissistic parents, that's not their goal. They want an extension of themselves that they can control for the rest of their lives. Your boundaries, whether it's low contact or no contact, are completely valid. And their argument that they made sacrifices for you was a choice disguised as a guilt trip, because people who feel guilty are easier to control. You were brought into this circus by no choice of your own. And now that you're an adult, you're making the empowered choice to live life on your own terms. And that's amazing. A contradiction your narcissistic parents don't want you to notice. I'm sure you've tried the very pointless exercise of trying to get your narcissistic parent to take any form of accountability for what they've done to you your entire life, and you were met with their sob story about their childhood, what they've been through, what their parents did to them, and you've gone through the exercise of understanding why they are the horrible people that they are. However, they will not take 1 second out of their life to try and understand what you've been through from their horrible parenting and their abuse that they perpetuated onto you for your entire life. They won't consider what you now have to go through as an adult, healing from your childhood, trying to unlearn the conditioning that they subconsciously programmed into you on how to stop being the people pleaser that you are. Here's the thing. They did that on purpose, because if they didn't program that into you, you wouldn't have been easier to control. Here's the thing. Life is hard for everyone. Just because somebody had a hard life is no excuse to abuse your kids.
Narcissistic, covert narcissistic mothers will also start to notice, and this is how you know it's a covert narcissistic mother. They will also start to notice that as they share this information about their child with other people, they're starting to get attention. So it's not uncommon to see a narcissistic covert mother on social media saying, "Oh, my heart breaks for my ADHD child. Life is so hard for them, and they're if anybody wants to know why they're so sensitive, it's because of the ADHD, and I'm really doing everything I can to help the child." No. What the covert narcissistic mother is trying to do is put themselves out there in the world as being this great, fantastic, caring, loving person so that social media moms or whatever else can gather around her and say, oh, you're such a good mother. But if they would just snap out of it, snap out of the trance and say, wait a minute, this person is talking about their child's ADHD issues on social media? Why? Because they're trying to garner the attention. But in today's society, there's a lot of narcissistic covert mothers that will find out that it works, and they get enough attention from that. Nobody knows what's going on behind closed doors, and this is the sad reality of all covert narcissistic mothers, because behind closed doors, what they're going to find out is that they're actually yelling at that child, shaking their finger at that child, calling them ADHD, calling them whatever they need to say in order to keep them in the box, which is abusive. So they're abusing that child. But to the outside world, they post, oh, my heart breaks. I struggle with my child. I wrestle with my child because of this issue and that issue. And so the outside world gives up that attention and that sympathy. And this could get very extreme, by the way. There's actually YouTube videos of horrifying things. Mothers out there who will take their children to a hospital, garnering attention because their child is sick. Come to find out, when the cameras are rolling in the hospital room, that mother is putting salt or some kind of nasty thing in the child's feeding tube so that the child is bent over, hurling and vomiting. Why is the mother doing that? There's some kind of weird sympathy or attention that the mother is getting from people saying, oh, you're doing everything you can. What a wonderful mother. When really it is the narcissistic covert mother that is destroying the child. This is an important message, and I hope right now that any of you watching, when you come across social media posts where it seems like a mother is talking about how she's wrestling with their child who is ADHD or this or that, don't be so quick to jump in there and say, oh, you're doing so good. You're doing the best you can. Perhaps your first question should be, why are you sharing this on social media, first of all? Now, obviously, we're not talking about mothers who have obvious difficulties with children with very difficult disabilities. In fact, you know this is true because you typically won't see mothers who have children with very difficult situations. You won't see them post about the negative things about that. There are children out there that are born without arms, without limbs. There are children that are born with various special needs, physical special needs. You don't see the mothers out there going, oh, my day, oh, my child, and oh, my heart's broken for my child. No, because they're not narcissistic, and those mothers aren't trying to garner any attention. They accept their child for who they are and love them. But when you have a narcissistic mother who is covertly going on social media and saying, oh, my special need ADHD child is so difficult to understand, you can stand back and say, wow, what is this person doing? Why are they trying to garner this attention?
Narcissistic mothers, the fact that they can be very envious of their daughters. Narcissistic mothers, especially the covert narcissistic type, have what is known as pathological envy. They envy their children, they envy their daughters in particular, and they consider them a threat. And when a narcissistic mother devalues, criticizes, envies their daughter, sabotages their daughter, doesn't allow them to do well in life, by doing all these things, she diminishes the threat to her own very fragile self-esteem. And the hard thing is that when a daughter realizes that her mother has such envy towards her, she feels completely confused and cannot believe that her mother would feel this way about her. She feels very unworthy and very unloved Because a healthy mother would not do this. A healthy mother would want what is best for her daughter, would celebrate with her daughter at every single success, would encourage her daughter to do well. But a narcissistic mother can't do this. Because of her fragile self-esteem, she will do everything she can to sabotage her daughter. Or, if her daughter is a golden child, she will encourage her daughter to do well, and then she will show her daughter off to the world and say, look at what a fabulous daughter I have. Look how successful she is. She's only successful because I was her mother and I encouraged her. And then the limelight will be on the mother. She will be the reason why her daughter has done really well. But in my experience, and most of the daughters of narcissistic mothers that I have supported and coached, I have noticed that the envy side is much more prevalent. That a lot of these daughters have had an envious mother that has sabotaged their growth, and they have a lot of developmental arrests because of their mother sabotaging their growth to such an extent that they weren't able to form successful relationships or marriages, that they weren't able to progress in their career because every time they tried to take a step forward, their mother would sabotage that by planting seeds of doubt. The problem is that once attention is drawn away from the mother cannot bear this. So she will make the child suffer by putting her down, by criticizing her, by punishing her, by sabotaging everything that the daughter has worked hard for.
The mother can blame the daughter for anything, with no reason or logic behind it. My mother was a master of finding someone to blame afterwards. I still do not know when she is telling the truth. Right? So this is interesting. I've seen this many times too. The individual who had the narcissistic parent grows up and they never are able to establish trust for that parent. Right? They just don't know when the parent is being truthful. They don't know if they're trying to manipulate. The relationship never really stabilizes and becomes secure. So this takes me to the third component of the isolated childhood, envy and creating a shiny facade. The mother despises other people as a way to bolster her own sense of value. Everything in the home has to be perfect. If the daughter received a compliment about her behavior, the mother immediately took the credit, appearing to be caring and sensitive. The harsh reality of the misery the daughter experienced really juxtaposes sharply against the ideal fantasy that the mother projects to other people. The daughter was not allowed to be happy unless that happiness was related to the mother, right? Unless that happiness helped make the mother look better or made the mother happy. Quotes here, "I cannot tell my mom about the good events in my life." So the daughter has nowhere to go with her own good news. Next quote, "My parents were respected and trusted in their work. Therefore, no one could imagine what kind of nightmare my life was as their only daughter." Right, so this goes back to that familiar theme of the daughter being trapped. The daughter has no options. This really adds to it by indicating that the daughter has no way to even be recognized. So it's beyond being trapped. She can't even communicate with other people and explain how her situation cannot be changed. Right, so no one's going to empathize with the daughter. Even when somebody's trapped, they take comfort in others being able to see them, being able to recognize that situation, as unfortunate as it is. The daughter is denied this. This brings me to the last theme, denied childhood. We see here three components: violence, threatening, and rejecting. Starting with violence. Well, this one's fairly straightforward. The mother would often use violence as a way to punish the daughter. Absolutely no provocation was required. A quote here, "My mother really hits us with a stick and hand without any reason." Next we have threatening. The daughter lived in constant fear of making the mother angry. The daughter learned to be careful about everything that she said or did. Quotes here, "Everyone was afraid of my mother." Now, this person could be talking about her family, like everybody in the family was afraid of the mother, but this could also extend to outsiders. Other people could see the situation and think, I don't want to get involved in that. That seems frightening to me. The next quote, "By constantly assuring her how perfect she is, I tried to keep her in a good mood." So the daughter not only suffers at the hands of the mother, she has to work too. She has to work to keep the mother in a mood that won't lead to more bad consequences, right? So constant terror, constant fear in the situation for the daughter. The next component is rejection. The daughter has never had basic safety. The mother forgot her, ignored her, and left her alone. The mother offered no protection, and sometimes this will allow others to mistreat the daughter. So here we see even more pain, right? So the daughter has to worry about the mother, and now she has to worry about the mother's lack of protection. So other people come out and try to harm the daughter, right? Mothers typically protect their daughters. We don't see this with the narcissistic mother. The quotes here, all my toys were taken away because I was told that I was too old to play with toys at the age of 9, right? So the mother's really just cruel, lacks empathy. She doesn't care. It's all about her. Next quote, I was afraid all the time, right? We know that constantly being in fear, especially as a child, leads to a lot of suffering later on, as well as suffering in that moment. So those are the three themes we see with the narcissistic mother. What types of outcomes would we see with each of these three themes? Well, all three lead to shame, right? It's a component of the first theme, but really it's part of all three of the themes. Now, in general, incompetent childhood leads to feelings of inferiority and worthlessness. Isolated childhood, this turns the daughter against other people and focuses her toward her mother. We also see hypervigilance as a consequence here. Denied childhood leads to a sense of insecurity and feelings of fear. In general, people who are raised by narcissists, including daughters raised by narcissistic mothers, are more likely to have insecure attachment, which places them at a greater risk of developing psychopathology. So that's how we kind of look at the pathway to mental disorder in this situation. Insecure attachment contributes to it. It's not 100% of the cause, but we think it is, in some cases at least, a major contributor. Now, these participants really struggled to tell other people about their mother's narcissism. They didn't know if anybody would take them seriously, or they didn't know if anybody would know how to help them. We see the feeling of isolation caused by the mother persists as the daughter grows older. So when I think of the mother-daughter dynamic, and this could apply to a variety of dynamics, but specifically with this dynamic, we see this image, this analogy of two trees, right? The mother is a tree, the daughter is a smaller tree. As the daughter, this tree grows up, we would hope the tree would grow straight and would be resistant, right? So when the wind blows, the tree wouldn't bend too much. And what we see here with these two trees is that the mother is pulling that smaller tree, the daughter, either into her as that tree grows or away from her. But either way, that tree does not end up straight. It ends up curved to one side or the other. And sometimes, with the approach dynamic, where the mother is pulling that tree in, the trees become intertwined. And when we think about a tree, we know it's not just easy to untangle that. If the two trees are intertwined, that's a very difficult dynamic to alter. If the daughter tree, so to speak, is curved away, well, that curvature is still difficult to correct. Now that tree is isolated. It's not necessarily better for the daughter one way or the other, too close to the mother or too far away. Both of them result in that curvature, which is unhealthy, right? So this is how I think about a lot of parent-child dynamics. Sometimes people say to children of narcissists, why don't you just straighten up, right? To use the tree analogy, why don't you just straighten up? Well, because the individual grew in that direction, right? So there is a distortion which is present there that is not easy to correct. In real life, of course, it's not the curvature of a tree, but a cognitive distortion. And that's something that counseling can help to address. So this analysis of these themes about the narcissistic mother really underscore the importance of promoting education about the destructiveness of narcissism. It causes harm at every level, but the narcissistic parent wreaks havoc that has the potential to lead to a lifetime of suffering. Fortunately, counseling can help many who are in this situation, but prevention is really the key.
If you cut off a toxic, narcissistic parent, they're going to try to turn the rest of the family against you. And of course, if you're new here, I'm actually a diagnosed narcissist. So cutting off a toxic, narcissistic parent is probably one of the hardest things to do, y'all, because you only get one mom right, you only get one dad right. But if you finally decide that cutting off your parent or talking to them way less or dealing with them way less is better for your emotional and physical health and financial health sometimes, they're going to turn on you. Not everyone reacts the same way, but a lot of them will try to triangulate the rest of the family against you. I have no idea why my ungrateful son or daughter doesn't talk to me anymore. Like, imagine your parent starting a smear campaign against you, lying on you, spreading rumors about you because you decided to set boundaries and take back your power against them. Like, the older you get and the more autonomy you have over your own life, the more your narcissistic parents tend to try to control you. They demand respect no matter what they do. And if they don't get their respect, they'll treat you badly. And if you decide to cut them off, I'm just telling you, be prepared, y'all, because you might have to cut off more than one person.
Narcissistic fathers sacrifice their children. Narcissistic fathers are selfish, vain, and self-serving. Narcissistic fathers are deceptive because to the world at large, they present themselves as the perfect father. However, narcissistic fathers present themselves to their own families as cruel, controlling, and tyrannical. Narcissistic fathers are willing to sacrifice their own children's mental health for their own sadistic desires.
Some narcissists will financially or emotionally abandon their children, and here's 5 ways that they'll justify it. Do narcissists even love their children? I'm going to cover that at the end of the video. Number 1, self-victimization. A narcissist will convince themselves that they're the victim in this situation. They feel that they've been treated so unfairly by you or even the children that it justifies their emotional or financial abandonment. Number 2, self-importance. This is the superiority, the God complex. A narcissist believes that their own needs, their own desires are more important than their children. This is how some narcissists can afford vacations but not child support. Number 3, blame shifting. This situation is your fault. It's your responsibility to support the children, not theirs. Number 4, distortion of reality. A narcissist will convince themselves that they're doing the right thing or that they have no other choice. They're not living in actual reality. They might think that they're teaching their kids about self-reliance or that their kids aren't affected by their inconsistency or absence. And lastly, number 5, denial. They'll just tell people that they didn't abandon their children. They'll tell people that they are paying child support. They just won't acknowledge that they're causing their children any harm or pain. So how can a person do this if they love their children? They wouldn't. To a narcissist, love is conditional. Love is typically only given based on the condition that the child is able to meet the narcissist's needs. They view their children, just like their partners, as an extension of them. The children are there to serve them and their needs. And it's commonly known that narcissists lack empathy. This means they really struggle to empathize with their children's feelings or to show actual, genuine love. They don't know how to express love in a consistent and unconditional way. Specific to the topic of financial abandonment, a narcissist will often not provide financial support for their children, thinking that they're actually just punishing the other parent. In that case, the children are just a tool for manipulation. They're weaponizing their own children to harm their ex. Does that sound like love to you?
Stronger.